We are going to start now the next chapter, chapter 14 of class 10th mathematics, statistics. So we start this chapter with a certain example. So we are saying, suppose there are two factories and the wages of the workers of these two factories, these are given to us. We are saying that W1, these W1, W2, W3 and so on Wn, these are the wages of the workers working in the factory 1, and suppose we have the wages, it is say W1 to this W2, W3, Wm. These are the wages of the second workers of the second factory. So if we want to compare the wages of these workers, one procedure is that we compare each and every term. We compare the wage of this worker with this, with this. Then similarly we can compare the wages of individual workers over here. But if we have to tell something about the wages, compare the wages of the workers of these two factories, it is very difficult. So in place of this, what we are going to do, we are talking about these wages of the workers of the factory 1. To all these wages we assign a number. Say we are saying it is the W1 we have assigned to all these numbers. Similarly to the wages of this of the workers of the second factory, we are assigning a number, it is W2. These two numbers W1 and W2, these are called the averages. We are saying we have assigned an average to all these values of wages, and these are representative of this data. This W1 is the representative of this data and W2 is the representative of this data, and these two values W1 and W2, these are called the average values. These are called the average of the data. Now when we are talking about the average of this data, these values, they have the property that these values, this W1 will lie within the range of these values. That is, if we arrange all these values in the ascending order, suppose we are saying the minimum value of W1, W2, so on up to Wn dash is there, and we have the maximum value of W1, W2, so on up to Wn dash is there, and we are saying this value W dash, that will lie between the maximum and the minimum value, and we call this average a measure of central tendency of this data. We are saying this W1, the average that we have assigned to it, it is called the measure of central tendency of the data. Now we have three kinds of measure of central tendency. The first is the mean. So mean means we are assigning a number to this data, and that number is called the mean. The second kind of average or measure of central tendency we have, it is the median. We are assigning a number. We have a formula. We are assigning a number to this data, and we call that number the median. And the third kind of measure of central tendency we have, it is mode. So these are the three kinds of measure of central tendencies that we are going to study in this chapter. So we start with the first measure of central tendency. It is, and the definition of the mean we have already studied in our previous class, in the previous videos. So over here we are going to start with the mean of the grouped data. For the definition of grouped data, you can refer to the videos of class 9. These definitions are there. What is mean, what is grouped data, all these definitions, they are covered in that video. So what we know about the definition of the mean, it is the sum of the observations over total number of the observations. So if we are given n observations, that is, the data is given in this form, that there are x1 and the frequency of x1, it is f1, then it is x2, the frequency of x2, it is f2. We are saying x1 is there, frequency is f1, then x2 is there, frequency is f2, and likewise xn is there and the frequency corresponding to xn, it is fn. Then the mean of this data is given by, it is x bar. X bar means this is representing the mean, and we are saying the value of the mean we will have, it is we will multiply these two terms. It is x1 f1, then x2 f2, so on up to xn fn. Then we sum all these values. We are writing it is sigma fi xi. It is the sum. The sigma means we are talking about the sum of all these values. Then next we are calculating the sum of all fi. It is sigma fi, and if we are dividing these two values, sigma xi fi and sigma fi, when we are dividing these two values, the answer we are obtaining, we call it is the mean. This is the notation. This sigma we are saying, this is read as sigma. Sigma means it is the sum of all these values. These terms, these are explained in our previous video. So we are saying that this is the definition of the mean that we have. So there are three methods for computing the mean of the grouped data that we will study in this chapter. Now the first method we have, it is the direct method. So in this method, the midpoint or the class marks, I think midpoint or the class marks of each class interval is taken to represent the observations falling in that class. And then what we mean to say is, if we are given the classes like 10 to 20, then 20 to 30, then 30 to 40, and corresponding to this some frequencies are given, say 2, 3, 4. These are the frequencies given to us. So first thing we have to calculate is, these are the frequency. So we are calculating the class marks, and the formula for class marks we know, it is upper limit of the class plus lower limit of the class divided by 2. So the answer we will get, it is 10 plus 20 by 2. Similarly it is 20 plus 30 by 2. Similarly it is 30 plus 40 by 2. On solving this, we will get the value, it is 15, this value it is 25, this value it is 35. So we obtain the value of xi and fi. Now what we have to do, we have to calculate the mean, and to calculate the mean we have to calculate fi into xi. We multiply these terms, we write the values over here. We will find the value of sigma fi xi, we will find the value of sigma fi, and the formula to calculate the mean we have, it is equal to sigma fi xi over sigma fi, and this will give us the final answer. On dividing these two values, we will obtain the final value of the mean. So with the next example, this method will be more clear to you. So the first question we have is, find the mean of the following data. This data is given to us, and we have written this in this tabular form. First interval we have 0 to 10, next interval we have 10 to 20. So we have written these values over here, and corresponding to these values we have frequency over here, it is 8. The next frequency we have, it is 12. Next frequency we have, it is 10. These are the values of fi that we have. The next thing we have to calculate, it is the class marks. The formula for class marks, it is 0 plus 10 by 2, that is equal to 5. Similarly, suppose I am talking about this interval 30 to 40. So the class marks will be 30 plus 40 by 2, that is equal to 35. So these are the values xi, we are saying these are the class marks. Next thing we have to calculate, it is sigma fi into xi. Sigma fi into xi means it is 8 into 5, then next 12 into 15, then next it is 10 into 25, then it is 11 into 35, and then it is 9 into 45, and we obtain these answers. Now the formula for calculating the mean, it is sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi, and these are the corresponding values. When we sum all these values, we get the answer is 1260. This is the value of sigma fi xi, and when we sum the values of this frequency, the answer we are saying it is divided by 50. So the final answer we will obtain, it is 25.2. So this is the mean of this data. Now the next we have is the arithmetic mean of the following frequency distribution is 25. So this distribution is given to us, and it is given that its mean is 25. We have to determine the value of t. So these classes, these are given to us 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40 and 40 to 50, and these are the corresponding frequencies that we have. It is 5, 18, 15, P and 6. Now we are saying we are given that the mean is 25. So what we are going to do, first step we have to do is, we have corresponding to these class intervals, we are calculating the class marks. The formula for the class marks we have, it is the upper limit, that is 10 plus lower limit by 2. The answer we obtain, it is 5. Then suppose I am talking about this interval over here, it is 40 plus 30 by 2. The answer we are obtaining, it is 35. The next step we have the values of fi, we have the values of xi. Now next step we have is, we have to calculate the value of fi into xi. We multiply these terms. So we are writing it is 5 into 5, that is equal to 25. Then it is 18 into 15, that is 270. Then it is 15 into 25, that is 375. Then it is p into 35, that is 35p. And last we have 6 into 45, that is equal to 270. Now the formula we know, it is sum of all these terms, sigma fi xi, the sum of all these terms, it is 940 plus 35p. This is the value of sigma xi fi, and sum of all these terms over here, the fi frequencies we are saying, it is 44 plus p, and it is given that the mean value, it is 25, and we know the formula, it is 940 plus 35p, that is the value of sigma xi fi divided by sigma fi. So on solving this, we will get it is equal to, on solving this value we will get it is 940 plus 35p, that is equal to 25 into 44 plus p. On multiplying these terms, we will get the answer as, 1100 minus 940. This is equal to 35p minus 25p. So the value of p we will obtain, that is equal to 16, and this is what we have to calculate in this question. Next we have is, if the mean of the following frequency distribution is 65.6, find the missing frequencies f1 and f2. These are the two missing frequencies. These are the classes given to us. These are the corresponding frequencies 5, 8, f1, 20, this 2, and sum of all these values is given to be 50. So we have written these values in this table over here. These are the class intervals we have. Corresponding to these class intervals, we have calculated the class marks. Corresponding to these class intervals, we have obtained these class marks, and these are the values of frequencies that we have. Now we are saying the sum of all these values, if we calculate, we are talking about, it is 5 plus 8 plus 20, f1 plus 20 plus f2, and this value is given to be equal to 50. So from this we will get the value of f2 is equal to 15 minus f1, and we have used this value over here, that in place of f2 we are writing it is 15 minus f1. Now the next step we have is, we have to calculate the value of fi into xi. So we have multiplied these terms over here. It is 5 into 20, that is equal to 100. Then 8 into 40, that is equal to 320. Then f1 into 60, that is equal to 60 f1. Then it is 20 into 80 is equal to this. Then we have the product of these two terms. It is 15 minus f1 into 100, and the answer we have, it is 1500 minus 100 f1, and the last value we have, it is product of these two terms, and the answer we have, it is 240. The sum of the frequencies, it is given to be 50, and now we calculate the sum of these values over here. that is sigma fi xi, and on adding these values the answer we are obtaining, it is 370 plus minus 40 times f1. So we are saying the value of mean that is given to us, it is 65.6, and this should be equal to the value of sigma fi xi, that is 3760 minus 40 f1 divided by the value of sigma fi, and the value of sigma fi, it is 50. So on solving this we will get the value is 50 into 65.6 is equal to 3760 minus 40 f1. On solving these values we will get it is 40 f1 is equal to 3760 minus 3280. So the value of f1 on solving this we will get it is equal to 12. Now the value of f2 we have, the formula for the value of f2 we have, it is 15 minus f1. So the answer we will obtain it is equal to 3. So these are the two required values. We are saying f1 is equal to 12 and f2 is equal to 3. Now the next method we have is the assumed mean method. So we use this method when the numerical value of xi and fi are large, and because of the large values of xi and fi it becomes difficult to perform the calculations. So how we solve these kind of problem, that or what this method we have, in this method what we have to do is, the first step is that we are saying the class intervals they are given to us. Corresponding to these class intervals we have to calculate the value of the class marks. This step is just same as we have done in the previous method, that we have to calculate xi, and the formula we know it is upper class limit plus lower class limit divided by 2, and we obtain the class marks. Now next thing what we have to do is, we will choose a certain number. We can choose any number, but in particular what we do is we choose the middle number as the assumed mean. The middle number of xi we are saying, we will have the values of, what will be given to us, it is class intervals will be given, frequencies are given, it is the value of fi. From these class intervals we will calculate the value of xi by using this formula. We are saying it is upper class limit plus lower class limit divided by 2. We will get the values of xi. Now we are saying the middle value of this xi, whatever is the mid value over here, that we assume that it is the mean. We are saying this is the assumed mean, and we denote this number by a. Whatever we will get the values of xi, whatever is the middle value we name it as a, and we subtract all the xi's from this a. So we are calculating xi minus a. But suppose x1 is there, so we are calculating x1 minus a. Next x2 minus a. This number we have assumed it equal to a, so we will get it is 0. So it is x5 minus a. Some values we will obtain in this form, and we donate all these numbers. These numbers we are saying these are di. Di means these are the deviation. Di means we are saying these are the deviations. We denote it with di. So di are basically the xi minus the assumed mean. Now next step we will have to calculate. Now what we have is, we have the value of fi, we have the value of xi. From this xi we have assumed a number a. Next step we have done, we have calculated the value of xi minus a. From each xi we have subtracted this number a, and we call this number as di. The next step we are going to do is, we are going to multiply fi and di. Earlier in our previous method we were multiplying fi and xi. Now we are not multiplying it with xi, but we are multiplying it with di, and the sum of this value we are saying it is sigma fi di, and the sum of these fi we are saying this is sigma fi, that is equal to the total number of terms n. Now the mean of this data, we are saying in place of xi we are writing di. The mean of this data, it is sigma fi di over n. This n is basically sigma fi, and we know that if we reduce each of these values by a, we have reduced each of the values of xi by a, then the mean is also reduced by a. It means the value of the mean that we are obtaining over here using these di, it is reduced by a. So we add a to it to get the final answer of the mean. So the formula we obtain, it is x bar is equal to a plus sigma fi di over n. The details about this thing, that the mean will be reduced by a, these are explained in our previous video related to the statistics. Now we are going to solve the question based upon this method. Suppose this data is given to us, it is regarding the weights of students of class 10 of a school. So these are the weights in kg given to us. This is 50 to 52, this range, then 52 to 54, then 54 to 56, then 56 to 58, then 58 to 60, then it is 68 to 62 and 62 to 64, and these are the corresponding frequencies that are given to us. And we have to solve this using the assumed mean method. Why we are using assumed mean method? Because these numbers, we are saying it is 56 to 58. If we calculate the class marks corresponding to all these values, corresponding to 50 and 52, it will be 51. We are saying it is 50 plus 52 by 2, the answer is 51. Suppose we are calculating the class marks corresponding to this, it is 56 plus 58 divided by 2, so the answer we have, it is 57. So what we have to do is we have to multiply 57 and 28. We have to multiply 59 and 16. These calculation will become difficult. There are more chances of mistake. So in place of solving it with our previous method, we are solving it by using the assumed mean method. So the first step we are going to do over here, these are the class intervals. These are the class intervals that are given to us. Then these frequencies are already given to us. The next step we have to do is we have to calculate the class marks xi by using the formula, it is lower limit plus upper limit by 2. Now the mid value over here, it is 57. Mid value means we are saying these three terms are below above it and 3 are below it. So this is the mid value over here. So we have assumed that the mean is 57. This a is equal to 57 means we are assuming that the mean is 57. The next step we have to do is we have to calculate the deviation di, and that is equal to xi minus a. So what is xi minus a? It is 51 minus 57, and the answer is minus 6. Next is 53 minus 57, and the answer we get, it is equal to minus 4. Next we have is, it is 55 minus 57, the answer we have minus 2. Then it is 57 minus 57, the answer we have 0. Then it is 59 minus 57. So we have subtracted this a is equal to 57 from all these terms to obtain the value of di. Now the next step we have is we have to calculate fi into di. So the value of fi into di means it is 18 into minus 6. This is the value of fi, this is the value of di. Then it is 21 into minus 4. Then next it is 17 into minus 2. Then 28 into 0. Then 16 into 2. So these are the values that we have calculated by multiplying fi and di. Now the next step we have to do is we have to calculate the sum of all these values. We have calculated the sum of fi, and the sum of fi comes out to be 150. We have calculated the sum of fi di. It is important to note over here that these are the negative terms. We are adding these terms separately. These are the positive terms. We are adding these terms separately. And whatever answer we are getting by adding these values, it is 36. We may get the answer we are talking about. It may be positive, it may be negative. We are not concerned about the sign over here. Whatever the sign we will get, we have to use that sign over here. So what we get from this is, we move on to our next slide. So we are saying the value of A that we have assumed it is 57. The value of sigma fi di we have it is 36, and the value of sigma fi we have it is 150. Now the formula for the mean that we have, it is the mean value x bar, that is equal to sigma fi di over sigma fi. We substitute these values over here. It is 57, 36 upon 150, and on solving this we will obtain the answer as 57.24. This is the mean weight that we have. It is 57.24 kg. This is the mean weight of the students of this class. Now the next method we have, it is the step deviation method. So this method is also used to simplify the calculations, and it is generally used when this value of xi minus ai that we have used in the assumed mean method, it is large. Even this value is large and is divisible by the class size. This method is generally used when this condition is satisfied. So how we are going to solve with this method is, the first step it is same. The first step is that the class intervals are given to us. Corresponding to these class intervals, we have to calculate the class marks using the formula upper limit plus lower class limit divided by 2. The second step is same as we have done in the assumed mean method. We will assume the middle value of the xi as the assumed mean, and we denote it with capital A, and we calculate h is equal to upper limit minus lower limit, which is the same for all the classes. For each of these classes we calculate the value of h, that is upper limit minus lower limit. In the assumed mean method, we have calculated the value of di using the formula xi minus a. Now the next step is, we are calculating the value of di, that is equal to xi minus a. A is the assumed mean. Now we have calculated the value of h, which is the width of the interval, or class size we are saying. This is the class size, and if all these values di, these are divisible with this h, then we say we are calculating the value ui using the fact di upon u, that is whatever these di we have calculated. Now what we have is, first of all we are given classes, we are given the value fi. From these classes we are going to calculate the value of xi by using this formula, that it is the midpoint of these classes. If these values are large, if these values we are saying these are large, we are going to assume a value over here as a, and we are going to calculate the deviation as xi minus a. These are the deviations. Now we obtain some values over here. We are saying corresponding to the classes, whatever the classes are given, we can calculate the class size, that will be same for all these values h. If this h is divisible by all these values di, we are going to calculate in the next step a number ui, that is equal to di over h. We are going to divide each of these number, d1 by h, we are going to divide d2 by h, all these number dn by h. So if these numbers are large, then by dividing them with h, these numbers will become small. So what we have done in this step, we have reduced all the values xi by a. In the next step, we have divided all these values with h. Now we are assuming that the data that is given to us, it is fi, and these are the ui. We will obtain the frequencies, we will obtain the values of ui. If we calculate the value fi ui, we calculate the sum of fi ui Now the mean that we will obtain from this, that will be equal to sigma fi ui over sigma fi. This is the mean of this data. This is the mean corresponding to this data. And how this data is obtained? We are saying we have divided each value with h over here. In this step, we have divided each value with h. It means this mean will be multiplied with h. We have reduced all these values over here by a. It means this mean will be increased by the value a. So the formula we use over here to calculate the mean, it is x bar is equal to a plus h into sigma fi ui over fi. Why it is multiplied over here? Because each value was divided by h over here. Why this a is added over here? Because each value was reduced by a in this formula. So this is the formula we have that we use when we are using this method, that is step deviation method. So we solve a problem using this method. So suppose this data is given to us and these are the class intervals, and these are the corresponding frequencies that we have. So corresponding to these class intervals, we are moving on to the next slide. We are saying corresponding to these class intervals, we calculate these mid values over here. The mid values means we are talking about it is 0 plus 50 by 2, that is equal to 25. This is the value of xi. Similarly, for the next value we have this value, for the next value we have this value. There are total 6 values, so there is no exact mid value. So we can take a is equal to 125. You can also take a is equal to 175. It is up to you that how you want to solve this. There is no hard and fast rule that which value you have to assume. Even you can assume any number that you want. It is, you are not restricted to any particular number. You can assume any number, but in general we assume the number that is the mid value. So in this case we are assuming a is equal to 125. Now the value of h that we have, it is difference of these values. The difference of all these values, it is 50. So we are saying the value of h we have, it is equal to 50. So what we are going to do, we are going to calculate the value of di. So the value of di that we will have, it is 25 minus 125, that is equal to xi minus the assumed mean. Then it is 75 minus 125, then it is 125 minus 125, then it is 175 minus 125, it is 225 minus 125 and 275 minus 125. On calculating these values, we get it is minus 100, then it is minus 50, then it is 0, then it is 50, then it is 100, and this is 150. And we can see from here that this value of h, that is equal to 50, it divides all these values. So the next step we are going to do, we are calculating ui, that is equal to di over h. So we are dividing it with 50, and the answer we are obtaining, it is minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2 and 3. So these are the values of ui that we obtain. The next step we have to do is we have to multiply the value fi into ui. It is 17 into minus 2. Next it is 35 into minus 1. Next it is 43 into 0. We have multiplied this ui and fi to obtain these values over here, and the sum of all these values we obtain, it is equal to 85. The sum of the positive values we have, it is 154. The sum of the negative values we have, it is 69. So the final sum we are getting, it is 85. So what we are saying, that if ui, these are the values, these are the ui means these are the mid values we are saying, and these are the frequencies, then the mean would be 85 by 180. Now when we are solving this problem, we have reduced these values or divided these values with h. The value of h, it is 50. It means whatever mean we are obtaining, it should be multiplied with 50. In this step we have reduced the values of xi by a. It means the mean that we are obtaining, it should be increased by the value a, and the value of a we have, it is 125. So using this formula we will obtain the final answer. So this formula we are saying, it is basically a plus h into sigma fi ui over sigma fi. So whatever the value of 85 by 80 you will get, you will multiply it with 50, then you will add it to 125. These calculations, these are shown over here. The answer you will get, it is 125 plus 23.61, and the answer you will get, it is 148.61, and this is the mean corresponding to these values. Now in the next question, we are given the distribution of expenditure of different families on education. Find the mean expenditure on education of a family. So it is given that these values are given to us, that there are 24 families which have expenditure between 1000 to 1500, 30 families which have expenditure between 3000 to 3500. So we have to calculate the value of the mean over here, and it is clear from these values that the value of h that we have, that is equal to 500. So we move on to our next slide, and we can see that the value of xi that we will obtain, suppose I am talking about this interval over here, the value of xi will be 3000 plus 2500 divided by 2, and the answer we have, it is 2750. So the first step we have to do, we are writing the class interval, we are writing the frequency, and the first step we have to do, it is we have to write the mid values using the formula. It is upper limit plus lower limit divided by 2, and these are the values that we will obtain. Now we are assuming that this value 2750, this value we are saying, this is the assumed mean. The value of h that we have, that is equal to 500. So we are calculating the value of u using the formula. This is the formula we are saying, it is for u. It is equal to xi minus a over h. So if we look at this first term over here, the xi we have, it is 1250 minus assumed mean that we have over here, it is 2750, and the value of h we have, it is 500, and on solving this, the answer we are getting, it is 15 minus 1500 by 500, that is equal to minus 3. So this is the value minus 3 we are obtaining over here. Suppose I am talking about this value 3. So how we are obtaining this value? It is 4250 minus the assumed we have, it is 2750, and divided by 500. The answer we are getting, it is 1500 by 500, and the value we are getting, it is 3. So like this we have to calculate all these ui's using these class marks. The next step we have to multiply this frequency 24 into minus 3, the answer we get, it is minus 72. Next it is 10 into minus 2, the answer we get, it is minus 20. Next we have, it is 33 into minus 1, the answer we get, it is minus 33. Likewise we will obtain these values, it is minus 72, minus 20, 0, minus 33, 0, 48 and 28. These are the values of fi into ui. When we add these negative values, we add these positive values, basically we are saying we are adding all these values, the answer we will get, it is equal to 25. So this is the value of sigma fi ui, that is equal to 25. The value of sigma fi we have, it is 170. So the answer we will obtain, it is the mean we have for this value, it is 25 by 170. The value of h we have, with which we are dividing it over here, it is 500. So we are multiplying this answer with 500. How much this xi we have reduced? It is by the value a, and a is equal to 2750. So we are adding 2750 to this value, and we are saying whatever answer we obtain by solving this, these calculations, these are shown over here, that is the answer obtained on solving this expression. It is 2823.53. so this is the value of the mean that we have. Now the next question we have, it is compute the arithmetic mean of the following data. Now the data, it is given in the less than form. So it is marks obtained and number of students, these are given to us. We are saying the marks of the student means we are talking about the students having less than 10 marks, it is 14. Student less than 20 marks, it is 22 number of students. Student less than 30 marks, it is 37. So we are saying student less than 10 marks means we are talking about the students having 0 to 10 marks. Less than 20 marks means it is 0 to 20 marks. This is 0 to 30 marks. This is 0 to 40 marks. This is 0 to 50 marks, and this is 0 to 60 marks. So now if we have to calculate the number of students having the marks 10 to 20, the answer will be 22 minus 14, that is equal to 8. We are subtracting this value from this. We are saying the students having 0 to 20 marks is 22, and the students having 0 to 30 marks is 37. So students having 20 to 30 marks will be 37 minus 22, that is equal to 15, equal to 15. So likewise we can calculate the frequencies corresponding to these classes. So we are saying first of all we have to write this above data in this form. So the classes we have over here, it is 0 to 10, next it is 10 to 20, next it is 20 to 30, next it is 30 to 40, and the corresponding frequencies we have corresponding to 0 to 10, the frequency we have it is 14, next the frequency we have it is 8, next frequency we have it is 15, next frequency we have it is 21. Likewise we have frequencies over here 9 and 8. Now if we look at these values over here, the classes we are talking about, the value of h that we will have, that is equal to 10. So if we write this data in this tabular form, we are moving on to our next slide. We are writing this data in this form, that it is 0 to 10 frequency is 14, then 10 to 20 frequency is 8. The next step to solve this problem, it is we have to write the mid values or the class marks. So corresponding to 0 to 10, the class marks, it is 10 plus 0 by 2, that is equal to 5. Next it is 20 plus 10 by 2, that is equal to 15. These are the values of xi that we will obtain using this formula. The mid value over here, it is, we are assuming it is a is equal to 35. Suppose this is the assumed mean. You can also consider 25 over here. It is up to you that which number you want to assume as the mean. So we are having the value of a, we have it is 35. The value of h we have seen that the class interval over here it is 10. So we are calculating the value of ui using this formula, that it is xi minus a over h. So you can directly write this, or you can write before this, you can write the value of di, and the value of di will be, it is 5 minus 35, 15 minus 35, 25 minus 35, 35 minus 35, 45 minus 35, and 55 minus 35. The answer we have, it is minus 30, minus 20, minus 10, 0, 10 and 20. If we divide all these values, we see that the common factor over here, it is h is equal to 10 is there, and these all terms, these are divisible by 10. So we are dividing all these values with 10 to obtain the values of ui. So So the answer for ui, the value of ui we are obtaining, it is -3, -2, -1, 0, 1 and 2. Next step we have is we have to multiply fi and ui. So it is 14 into -3. Next it is 8 into -2. Then it is 15 into -1. Then it is 21 into 0. These values we are talking about, these are the values of fi into ui. And when we sum all these values, considering the negative and positive signs, we sum all these values and the answer we are obtaining over here, it is -48. So we can obtain the negative answers also. So the value of mean that we will have, it is -48 over fi, it is 75. By how much value we are dividing it over here? It is by 10. It means we have to multiply it with 10. How much value we have subtracted from each term? It is 35. So we are saying how much value we are adding over here? It is 35. So on solving this, we will get it is 35. Because of this minus sign, this sign will become negative over here. And on solving this value, on doing this calculation, you will get the answer is 6.4, and the final answer you will get it is 28.6. So this is the mean in this case. So it is important to note over here that it is not always the case that this value is positive. This may be positive or negative. It might be the case that if we would have assumed the mean to be 25, if in this step, if suppose we have assumed the mean to be 25, it might be the case that the answer we are obtaining over here, it will be positive. But the final answer, this 28.6, it will not change. This will be same. Whatever mean you will assume, this answer will be same. Now the next question we have is, we have to find the arithmetic mean of the following frequency distribution. And it is important to note over here that these classes given over here, these classes are in the inclusive form. That is, it is 25 to 29 and then 30 to 34. So if we are using the assumed mean method or step deviation method we are talking about, so we have to convert these classes to the exclusive form. We know how we convert these to exclusive form. We are saying the class we have, it is 25 to 29. We subtract 0.5 from this value. We add 0.5 to this value. We will get it is 24.5 and this will become 29.5. So the interval will become 24.5 to 29.5. The next, suppose I am talking about this interval over here. So what we are going to do, it is 50 to 54. We are subtracting 0.5 from it. We are adding 0.5 to it. So the interval we get, it is 49.5 to 54.5. The interval that we will obtain from this, it is 49.5 to 54.5. Now look at these intervals over here. What is the value of h that we will get? It is 5. This is the value of h that we will obtain. Now the frequencies that are given to us, they are 14, 22, 16, 6, 5, 3 and 4. The mid values we have, it is either you calculate the mid value from here, you will get it is 25 plus 29 by 2, that will be equal to 27. Similar answer you will obtain if you will solve this by using the formula, it is 24.5 plus 29.5 by 2. The answer you will obtain, it is 27. So you can use any of these values to calculate the mid values because the class marks will not change. But the difference will be there. The value that will affect the answer, that will be this value of h. If you will not convert these frequencies in the exclusive form, then this value of h will not be there. So we are going, the first step we are going to do, we are going to convert it to the exclusive form. Then we are going to calculate these mid values, that is the class marks we are going to calculate. Next step we have is, we have assumed that the value, the assumed mean we are taking, that is equal to 42. Next we are calculating the value of ui using the formula, it is xi minus a over h. Suppose I am calculating this value, we are saying it is 37 minus 42 over 5. The answer we will get, it is minus 1. If I am talking about this value, it is 57 minus 42 by 5. The answer we are getting, it is 3. So these are the values of ui that we have, that is minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2 and 3. Next step we have is, we have to calculate the value of fi into ui. These values we are talking about. So fi into ui, we are saying it is 14 into minus 3. Next it is 22 into minus 2. Like this we have calculated the value of fi into ui. Next we calculate the sum of all these values, and the answer we are obtaining, it is minus of 79. The value of sigma fi ui we are obtaining, it is minus of 79, and the value of sigma fi we have, it is equal to 70. That is sum of the frequencies we have, it is 70, and the sum of these value, it is minus 79. So the final answer we will obtain, it is minus 79 by 70. What is the value of h we have, it is 5. So we have to multiply this answer with 5. What is the value of assumed mean we have, it is 42. So we are writing 42 plus this. On solving this value, the answer we will obtain, that is minus 5.64. So the final answer we will obtain, that is equal to, the mean that we will obtain, it is equal to 36.36. So this is the mean corresponding to this data. This is the arithmetic mean corresponding to this data that was given in an inclusive form. So what we have done, we have converted it to the exclusive form, and then we have used this method.